There's our lovely notice that we're recording. My name is Dr. Kelly Olson, and I'm here with some wonderful individuals that will go ahead and introduce themselves. Mr. Carr?
Good evening. I'm Mr. Carr. I'm the social work intern on West Oak campus.
Ms. Schubach?
Good evening. I'm Mrs. Schubach. I am a 5th grade general education teacher.
Mrs. Clement?
Hi, I'm Nicole Clement. I am a 3rd grade general education teacher.
Awesome. So today we are here to talk about behaviors happen. How do we support our child and meet their needs? Our agenda for today is really just talking about what behavior is and how it's a form of communication, how we can build some positive supports at home, how we can put some different strategies in at home, and then how do we address the behavior, and then what do we do after the behavior happens? So something that a lot of the staff at District 76 know I say all the time is behavior is a form of communication. It may not be a way for them to verbalize and say, hey, I'm struggling right now, but they're showing us that they're struggling. They're trying to tell us that they need something, that they want something, that they're desiring something, but they're not able to verbalize it at that moment. And that's for a variety of reasons. It could just be because they're stuck in their head on how they're feeling and they don't know how to say, hey, I'm really frustrated right now because I can't have that cookie. Or, hey, I don't know the word that I'm frustrated. I just know I want the cookie and you're not letting me have it. So behavior is telling us and communicating us. It's just in a different way. And what I really like is this quote and definition is from the very moment a baby is born, they maintain the ability to communicate with the world through their behaviors. In the same way that a baby cries when it's sad or hungry, a person may yawn when they're tired or laugh when they're told a joke. And from there, we are communicating throughout our behaviors in every moment of the day, and we might not even be aware of it. So what do we do when we're seeing that? How do we go ahead and say, okay, you know what, you had a behavior and behaviors are happening. What do we need to do kind of that pre-front and the preloading so that we can actually prevent some of those behaviors? And one of them is really building a positive environment at home. You want to make sure that you are building and having supportive characteristics and building relationships with your child. You're being proactive, you're being an active listener, you're setting limits, and then you're avoiding those power struggles. As a parent, I fully know what it feels like to be like, I just need you to put on the matching sock, not the polka dot sock that does not go with the neon green sock, or I just need you to brush your teeth, right? But then we get into a power struggle with the children because we need it to be done, but they're wanting to feel a sense of control. So we will talk about how to avoid those power struggles and really build those positive relationships and have a proactive approach. So going back to those supportive characteristics, how do you do that? What does a supportive characteristic look like? It is really important that we are building relationships. So not only are you working with your child throughout the day and doing different things and meeting their needs for food and hygiene, but also learning about them, like talking to them about their day, listening when they talk about Minecraft, even though you have no clue what's going on when they're talking about netherite and a nether chest and why netherite is better than the diamond armor. Or, you know, talking about Pokemon, again, we might not know that, but to them, that means a lot. And to really listen to that is what's going to build your relationship to have that really positive relationship with your child. It's important to be honest. Obviously, as a parent, you can't always tell them what's going on, but you can say, right now, I can't tell you that. And I know that might be frustrating, but honesty is very important to us. And I can just tell you, I can't tell you. Confidence is really building that confidence with them, telling them that they can do things. When things are hard, we don't give up, we try again. You want to be open, care, and then that word empathy. Listen, how many times, you know, have our children been mad because they're not getting the pink bowl when they wanted the pink bowl, or the purple plate when they wanted the purple plate? And to us, it's just a simple purple plate, but to them, that's everything. They want that purple plate. So listen when they're upset and be empathetic to say, okay, I understand that it's frustrating that the purple plate's really dirty right now and we can't eat off of that. And then compromise with them, but we can eat off the pink plate today and I'll wash the one so it's ready for tomorrow. Humor when they're older, using humor is a great way to really build that relationship and have a deepened level of communication. And being flexible. Our lives sometimes are super structured, but sometimes we need to be flexible. Sometimes they just need that hug or that extra time for you to read that book one more time, because that's what they're needing in that moment. And that's what builds that positive relationship, as well as a really confident child. So when we talk about a proactive approach, we're talking about really acknowledging when the child is escalating. So I'm starting to see that right now, they're starting to get up more and they're starting to talk at a faster pace. They're making noises. Maybe they're fidgeting, but they're doing something that is showing me that their body is no longer in that green zone where they're ready to learn, they're ready to play, they're ready to have fun. They're in that agitated zone where they're starting to show maybe some signs of anxiety, or maybe just even that they're frustrated. We need to be very aware of that so that we can then go ahead and start putting in some strategies in place. Humor is a great one right away to kind of divert. And the other one that I always talk about is like changing the mode. What I mean by that is moving them out of that room. So if they're in the room, let's go over here, or let's go outside for a minute. When you change the mode, it kind of changes their mindset and allows them to kind of stop what they were upset about and focus on what you're doing. If you're outside, or if you're going into a different room, or let's say an animal comes into the room and you're petting the animal instead, it just is a really good way to kind of divert the attention before the behavior starts to occur. Being an active listener, what an active listener is really, what are they saying when they are communicating verbally as well as non-verbally? And for that, understand what they're asking for. So if it's a purple plate, it might be, again, that they want the purple plate, but why is it that it's purple? Is it because the purple plate's their favorite? Is it because it's a favorite memory? Like, what is the reason for it? And try to really understand it so that you actually can get to the root of the problem faster with them. Listen for their feelings. Some kids might not be able to articulate right away, like, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling mad, I'm feeling sad. They are really just kind of one of those struggles where it's hard for them to tell you. And if we're listening, we can maybe help them and label it with them. Oh, it sounds like you're feeling frustrated right now. Okay. Or it sounds like you're really angry. And that helps them to identify their emotions, especially when they're not aware of which emotion they're feeling at that moment. Validate their feelings. I'm sorry that you're frustrated about that purple plate. I'm sorry that you were not able to go outside right now. Let them know that you are listening to them and that you hear it, and work with them to say, okay, we might not have it now, but we can do something later. Eye contact is just a really good way to kind of watch how the kids are doing and how you're feeling as well. Listening closely. And then the really important one is listen without judgment. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes we jump right away to a judgment, but sometimes they will bring you through their processing of their feelings. And it might be one thing at the beginning, and then it's a completely different thing at the end because they were actually able to process it through. So if we are listening with intent to support instead of judgment, it allows them to keep going naturally. And again, build that closer relationship with you. So when we are setting limits, it is important that we have clear limits and boundaries on our children. They need predictable limits. So if you know that every other day is shower time, then it's no longer an argument that it's the shower night on Wednesdays and Fridays and Mondays. So you got to look at those opportunities and make it predictable for them and keep them in that routine so they have that security and guidance on what's expected. So it's okay if you're frustrated, but it's not okay if you yell or hit or bite and become aggressive. So teaching them those expectations and what's expected from them when they're feeling that way. The following ways that we can also do some limit setting is really, we don't want to have any fear of intimidation or obligation or guilt. We don't want to be like, well, you did this, how do you feel now? No, what we want to actually build in to say is, okay, so when you did this, this made me feel frustrated because it hurt my feelings, or I was trying to help you and you wouldn't let me, or, you walk them through so they understand how you're feeling as well as how they're feeling. So it's not that guilt on them. We want to make sure that you have a specific boundary. So my favorite is to always give 2 choices. I never tell the kid that the choices are still in the control of us, but it's 2 choices. You can go ahead and come upstairs and brush your teeth right now, or you can come in 5 minutes. Is the 5 minutes really gonna matter to us? No, it really is not. Give them that control because they get to pick. So when they feel like they have control is when we stop to see the behaviors starting to de-escalate. When we're looking at corresponding consequences, they should be natural or logical. It should not be a very grandiose, large consequence. It needs to be something that would make sense. So let's say you did not brush your teeth, then we're not going to be able to have sweets and have a snack after. And another one would be that, let's just say that a child went and hit their sister because they were mad over a video game. Then the natural consequence would be to lose that video game for a certain amount of time. So it just needs to be clear and it needs to be enforceable. So if they've lost it, then they've lost it for however long you set, and that is what needs to stay to them. We just want to avoid that power struggle. Then for power struggles, kind of like what we were just talking about, power struggles occur when when we are really kind of just having the same 2 different ideas and not willing to compromise and not willing to meet in the middle and listen to each other. So the best way to do that is to make sure that we have an agenda and the kid knows what's being expected of them throughout the day. Again, going back to those common interests, talking to them about those common interests, may it be Minecraft, may it be Roblox, may it be Pokemon, you name it, Bob the Builder, Dora the Explorer, just depending on their age, find those common interests and talk about it. May it be animals or colors or whatever it could be, but find that interest and talk to them, or Legos. It's all about what they're interested in to build that relationship, as well as to kind of divert them when they're starting to get frustrated. Be friendly and smile. When they're starting to get that dysregulated, use the 1-word directions. Also, no is a complete sentence. Think about that no when you're saying that. Why is it that no? What is where is it coming from? Provide those choices and then find a win-win. If they don't want to shower right now, can they shower in 15 minutes? All right, yes, because in 15 minutes, not a problem. It's not going to change anything. They'll be less smelly in 15 minutes. Their needs are still being met. And then talk with them. Okay, I see that you're frustrated right now. What's something that we could do to compromise on this together? Oh, you need 5 more minutes? Okay, great. Well, I'm going to give you 5 more minutes and then I'm going to come back. And allow them to have that power and control.
All right, so some strategies to support positive behaviors, right? We've been talking a lot about our children using these negative behaviors, and that could be for a number of different reasons. So we want to teach them how to use positive behavior. So when they are feeling these big emotions, they build up a lot of stress, and stress in the mind and body impacts anyone's ability to process and focus. So at any time when your child starts to feel more overwhelmed, they can take a few minutes to calm their mind and body using mindfulness exercises. So these types of exercises and strategies are going to help us to identify our feelings and feel more recharged. And this can look like breathing exercises, completing a body scan, feelings check-in, yoga stretches for the kids, and journaling and or coloring. Another way to manage our stress and use mindfulness are to have our students using items to manage that stress, such as stress balls, fidgets, poppets, putty, and squishies. And these are stuff that myself as a social worker and I know the teachers have in their classrooms. It really does help the students and our children to calm down and release some of that stress that they have. And then some additional strategies to support that positive behavior are some breathing exercises. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that you can show your child that just shows fun things like that, like the puffer fish just breathing in and out like that. I know I used some today with some students, blowing on a candle and then smelling the flower for inhale and exhaling, or you can find like square breathing or finger breathing, and there are a lot of different breathing exercises. So some additional strategies. So you take all these different strategies and supports and you can put it into a coping toolbox. And what this is just you can write it out with your child, and like you can even make a little toolbox or suitcase for them, and just have all these different strategies in there that they can just remember that they can use mindfulness activities, coloring, exercise, listening to music, writing, reading books, drinking water, just all these different things to support that positive behavior. And then next slide. One up. So just some additional strategies. You can go on to this slideshow and click on there's a link on this that just gives some more tips of creating that toolbox and more self-care plans.
So we wanted to identify some of the main behaviors that we kind of notice at school and provide some strategies to kind of work with those specific behaviors. So the first scenario is, what do I do if my child runs away from me? Sometimes when kids get upset or feel frustrated, you might notice that they're running away or walking away. The first thing we want is to try to stay in close proximity to the child, and that's really just for safety reasons. We want to be able to keep an eye on what's going on. And it can be difficult, but we want to remain calm. If this is happening, it's probably a stressful situation, but remaining calm can be really helpful when dealing with this. Kids really feed off of our energy. So if we're staying as calm as possible, that can sometimes kind of help the child calm down as well. And then we want to give clear limits and instructions. Sometimes giving 2 options can work. Obviously, we're going to kind of guide those options to be the safest options as possible, but we want to also allow them to feel like they have a choice in the situation. And limiting language as much as possible. We don't want to overtalk or ask too many questions. Sometimes when kids are upset, they really just need that processing time. So limiting what we're saying can be really helpful as well. Some of these we're going to see some repeat strategies because some of these strategies work for multiple situations. The next one we have is when a child becomes physically aggressive. Obviously, your safety is important as well. So you're going to want to stand back, but continue to stay within proximity. Give the child some physical space. You're not going to want to block the door because that can feel very restricting for the child. Again, we're going to give options and we're going to use minimal language. There are different levels of defiance, but in general, if a child you're asking them to do something and they're saying no, or they're not wanting to kind of go along with what the routine is, giving processing time can be helpful. You're also going to want to be aware of your tone, body language, and how fast you're talking. The way we communicate is sometimes mirrored back to us. So if we're sounding impatient or frustrated, that can sometimes come back to us from the child. Again, we're going to want to give options and use minimal language so we're not overwhelming. And then finally, if a child becomes verbally aggressive, we're going to want to be aware of our tone, our body language, and the speed of how fast we're talking. Give options and use minimal language.
Okay, so then when we're focusing on steps to rebuilding a relationship, I think what the key piece here is, they were upset. They may have gotten aggressive. They may have just said some really harsh things. Now what do we do? So we need to talk with them about it, right? So we're going to wait until they're fully regulated again, not when they're agitated, not when they're still upset, but we're going to wait until their body is completely regulated. And then we're going to walk with them and talk with it and walk through the behavior and be an active listener. You're going to want to be empathetic. So you're going to avoid the blame and use I statements like, I feel frustrated when you yell at me because it's really loud and I'm not sure why you're trying to yell. I'd rather just talk with you. So talk with them about the situation and walk it through. So I've noticed you got upset when I tried to talk to you about your homework tonight. Can you tell me about that? And allow them to really process it through. I always like to use the words, can you tell me about that? Can you tell me more? How did that make you feel? What were you thinking? And just some probing questions that allow them to actually think about what the behavior was and what you can do to support them through that. So once we walk through the behavior, then we want to talk about what they were feeling. Sometimes it's hard for us to remain calm when they're like, I was frustrated because you did this. And again, they're venting it out. So we have to let them process it through, not to be disrespectful, but to let them go ahead and share what was going on in their mind. Then reassure and really make sure that they understand that frustration and anger is a normal feeling. It is okay to be frustrated. It is okay to be angry. You're angry because your boundary that you have for yourself got broken in their mind. So we need them to understand that that's okay. What is not okay is if we're screaming, hitting, biting, kicking when we're angry. That's not okay. You can be angry. And we can talk about it and, we can do different things that we can get our anger out on, but we cannot hurt others or use really mean language. So talk that through, walk with them, and then reassure them it's okay. It's okay that you're feeling this way. I feel this way sometimes too. Let them know that we all feel that way at different times. And then we want to talk about how to prevent the behavior with them. Develop a plan with them. So okay, I noticed that you were getting really frustrated when we went to talk about homework. What can I do to help you? Do you need some time before I ask you about homework when you come home? Or do you need a break or a snack? Because sometimes they're hungry and they're tired and they just need that break to go ahead and recharge and then come back for the homework or then go and do the activity. So we need to be proactive with them and talk with them. I don't want this to happen again. What can we do together to make a plan to really ensure this doesn't happen again? And then we want them to know that when they're upset, if they are feeling angry or frustrated or just in the moment where they're in that red zone, they have safe places where they can go. A lot of time is their room. Or even if it's your room, that's totally fine, but have those safe locations. Hey, I'm noticing you're getting upset. Why don't you go take a break in my room right now? Or, hey, looks like you're in the red zone right now and you're getting really frustrated. Why don't you take a break in your room or color a page so that they know that you're giving them a safe place and giving them an option to go be angry and be upset, but also process it through and then be able to come to you to really talk it out and work it out together. We also want to make sure that we are comforting them and supporting them through their emotions and the behavior. It is scary when we're little. We don't know what's going on. We're feeling all these big feelings and we don't know how to label them and express it. So talking them through, reassuring them, comforting them and saying, okay, this is what happened. I noticed this. Notice you were angry when we went to go talk about going to gymnastics tonight. Why is that? Talk to me about that. And then, okay, you hit when I asked you and told you it was time to go. All right, So what does that mean? Why are we hitting instead of saying, Mom, I need a moment, or Mom, I can't do this right now, or Dad, I need help here. So walk them through it and then support them through those emotions and behaviors. So that's all that we had tonight. We had a just a real nice overview of what to do when we're having different behaviors, the supportive characteristics, and then also just kind of talking about rebuilding that relationship, because that is very important, that after behaviors, making sure that we're rebuilding relationships. And I call it a therapeutic rapport, rebuilding your rapport with your child, because they need to know that you're there to support them, but also that there's limits and boundaries with their own behavior. We really appreciate you guys attending tonight. If you have any questions or concerns, please put them in the chat. We can stay and answer any questions tonight. Otherwise, please go ahead and fill out the survey. We'd love to hear your feedback on if this Parent University was helpful for you. Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and check and see if we have any questions. Oh, thank you, Laura. Laura just shared that she said, thank you and great job and helpful reminders, which is really cool. And I think that's all we have tonight. So thank you everyone who attended. And if you have any questions or if you need anything, please let us know, and please reach out to myself or any of our team members, and we're happy to help support. Have a great night.